camera. So my name is Greg Brightbill. I work in the Division of Student Affairs and Intercultural Leadership and Engagement as the Associate Director for Student Leadership and Involvement. And part of what I do, beyond just working with students, I do a lot of work talking about professionalism, career development. And in many ways, that conversation has shifted to what is your online personal brand. And a lot of people have asked, Greg, tell me more about LinkedIn. How do I set up a LinkedIn? Is it useful? I know people that have a LinkedIn, or I have a LinkedIn, but I really haven't used it in a while. And let me tell you, more and more, LinkedIn has become the preeminent professional social media. And so for those of you that have a LinkedIn profile, I hope you're going to learn a little bit today. I have the presentation kind of set up today. I'm using my own just to kind of click around. So as I'm presenting and talking, I can show you what I'm talking about. And hopefully you can see the slides as well. Also, definitely take notes and start thinking about your own profile. And feel free to start looking at your profile while you're listening to me talk. I really want you, whether you have a profile set up or you're thinking about setting up a profile, to just listen to some of these tips, some of these tricks, some of the things that I think are really important about LinkedIn, some key attributes that you may not be using. With LinkedIn, I think every time I log in, they add new features that are super exciting, really valuable. And so definitely check it out if you haven't used in a while. Lots of changes. It's just like any other online social media profile. Every time you log in, there's probably something new and exciting. So check it out. Again, my name is Greg Brightbill. If you have any questions, feel free to email me at gbrightbill@umaryland.edu. And let's just jump right in. So LinkedIn. If you don't have one, you need one. The truth is, employers are more and more using the internet and social media and Google to learn about you as a candidate. And so if you attended the last presentation we had on online personal branding, you have to realize that the internet is how we learn about people now. You know, the age-old term, of stalking or lurking on someone on the internet is just the way we operate. And so LinkedIn is great because if you have a LinkedIn, that is your professional social media. And if I were going to have somebody that was looking at hiring me lurk on my online presence, I want them to find this rather than trying to dig through my Instagram or my Facebook. And that's not saying that they will only go to LinkedIn, but I want this to be a part of my brand. I want my LinkedIn to be something that I'm connecting with people. I am sharing things. I am building a professional brand. LinkedIn's great for all of those things. So we're just going to dive right in. And in my mind, we're going to start from the basics of LinkedIn as if you do not even have one set up. So if you have one set up, just some of these things are really great tips. Just listen along and look through your profile as I'm talking. So here's the truth. LinkedIn is a huge deal these days. And employers are using the internet and social media profiles to learn a lot about you. 70% of employers admit to using social media to screen candidates. 70%. So almost 3/4 of employers use the internet to find out more about you. So when you apply, no longer are you able to hide behind a simple resume and a cover letter and 3 references available upon request. Now you have to think about the internet and how that's a factor. And then even when you're employed, employers use social media to learn more about you, to see how you're doing, to see if you're working. These are all things that are really important to know. 87% of recruiters nowadays. So if you're on the hunt and you want to be contacted by recruiters, 87% of recruiters use LinkedIn to find candidates. Also, for you, LinkedIn now pulls information about job offers or potential positions, openings. And so now also where, before you would go to the University of Maryland, Baltimore's jobs website, now they're actually LinkedIn pulls from those things and actually will have jobs available for you based on your areas of expertise, position openings. People also now use LinkedIn to post positions. It's a great tool if you're looking for a job change. Now, here's another big fact. 57% of employers admit to not hiring a candidate due to something they find on social media. And LinkedIn is part of that. So making sure that your LinkedIn looks good. Now, this is beyond just LinkedIn to say that employers find stuff maybe on Facebook, but be aware, LinkedIn is a social media. Employers learn a lot about you. If, let's say, for example, on your LinkedIn profile, you have incorrect information, wrong job titles. Let's say, for example, you put on your LinkedIn your functional job title rather than the one that is given to you by the institution. And employers may compare these and jump to assumptions about you. And then here's the really difficult thing. And this number is really fascinating to me. Employers want to know that you have a social media. They want to be able to find you on the internet. 47% of employers admit that they will not call a person for an interview if they cannot find them online. And so where it used to be kind of the comment of, oh, you're applying for jobs, just get rid of all social media's scorched earth policy. Now it's like, no, you actually have to have something. So let that thing be LinkedIn. So that's why it's important. And the truth is with LinkedIn, it gives you time to kind of to be proactive in crafting your online brand, your professional brand. And it's a really great tool for that. So let's say you haven't even built up a LinkedIn profile, or let's say you have one, but you really want to build it up better. Before you even start putting together your profile, you need to brainstorm what is your professional brand? What do you want this profile to say about you? We don't often think about that. But think of it like this. If you're decorating a room, you have to think, okay, well, what's the room's look going to be? What is the style? Am I going to have it Art Deco? Am I going to have, retro? Or am I going to have modern, clean lines? Just like how you would decorate a room based on the idea that you want for the look, putting certain things in that room, your LinkedIn has to be the same way. So write down things about you. Okay, so if I'm trying to figure out what is my LinkedIn professional brand going to be, so what I would ask myself, so what are the key things I want to be showcased in this? Okay, so what skills do I have? What are my passions, both in my current work, but also if I volunteer, if I'm very passionate about something outside of work, but that still really says a lot about me professionally. What are my goals in life? Where do I want to go with my career? Write these things down. And through having those written down, literally, I'm saying write them down, look at that list, and then create like a professional personal mission statement, a professional bio. Short, concise, should be only a few sentences. Don't write 500 words, short. Now, for those of you that have been to my workshops before, I say this continuously. If you do not have a personal mission statement, something or that you have sat down and written for yourself, you need to have one. From your LinkedIn profile to giving a quick elevator speech about yourself, to saying when somebody says, hey, what are you interested in? What's your personal goals? Know what this mission is, because through this mission, not only are you going to be able to give yourself in writing a brand, a sense of who you are professionally, but it's something that you can use to help share that with other people. So write down, based on these things, the core goals, passions, skills. What is your personal mission statement? And then if you want to write down a quick bio of yourself, it is a very, very concise, short bio. I don't want to know about your, first pet when growing up. I don't need to know where unless it's really relevant to your professional identity, where you grew up, what high school you went to. I need to know, for example, where you most recently graduated, or institutions where you have a strong alumni relationship. What is your personal goals? What is your degrees? What is your education? What do you do for a living? Don't just tell me the title, tell me what you do. And then you have to take all of this. So if you're going to write a bio, write it out and then boil it down. On LinkedIn, often you can see over here is my about, where I have a pretty much this is built off of my mission statement. But if I had a bio after at about this point, you have to click read more. So if I'm on a profile and somebody's looking at view profile, so at a certain point, it cuts off. So somebody has to click see more. So I go over that a little bit, but I would keep it around this length. You do not want it to be 3 paragraphs, short and concise. And then what you want to do, so now that you've crafted you haven't even started your profile yet, then go on to LinkedIn. Look at other people's profiles, see what do you like. You actually have a little bit of autonomy in how you structure your LinkedIn profile, kind of like structuring a resume, which features you want to use. So sit down and look at other people's profiles. What do you like about theirs? What features do they have? How do they organize their profiles? Who are they connected to? So go through their connections, see who they follow. I say the same if you're thinking about building a resume. When instead of people say, Greg, do you have any good templates for resumes? I have to say, no, don't do that. You should, a good template for a resume, you should actually just go ask people that you admire professionally to send you their resume. That's where you get the best templates, because I can't tell you how to structure your profile if you're in a certain field. So find out who is the leaders in your field or people that you admire, and then build off of theirs. Look to see who they follow, and then write this down, because this is going to really help you when you're building your profile. And then when you're building it, LinkedIn actually has a really great tool that is just pretty much like a step-by-step profile builder tool. And it even tells you how you're doing. So mine, I believe it says I'm an all-star because I've set up all of it. I use all of the features. And it's going to tell you when you're building it, hey, you still have some features you're not using. So when you're setting it up, just go through the step-by-step process. It may ask you to upload a resume. And then through the resume, it actually will start building up your experiences, your education. It's going to start building up what you did. Now, remember, if you do use that feature, that you go through and you review how it updates and uploads that information, because you want to make sure that it uploaded correctly. And then you need to then stake your claim on your URL. And this is important because your URL, so I am linkedin.com, Gregory Brightville. This is what's going to pop up on Google. And this is, if I share it to someone, it needs to be something that people can remember. If you do not claim a URL, it's going to be like, for example, mine would be Gregory Brightville -1576528. It's just a random thing. So claim your URL. And the way you do that is you actually just click on you and you view profile, which will take you to this page right here. And then you click edit public profile and URL. And then you can't see it because it's too small. I'm gonna make this a little bigger. And then right here is where you personalize your URL. And so put in something that is you. So Madison, I see your camera's up, and so I'm just saying, so Madison Haas. So you would put Madison Haas. If there's somebody else has that name, then Madison, underline or whatever, and then Haas. Or let's say you could put a period. So find a way to make it so that it is individual to you and something that you can easily share. Because you may even put this on your if you have business cards or if you have professional cards that you hand out. So claim, you got to take it before somebody else does. Next, when you're thinking about it, think about your pictures. Now, let me say, this is something really, really important. You do not have to use a photo of yourself. You may not want to use a photo of yourself. That is okay. Historically, the push was to get a professional headshot. But just find something, a photo that represents your professional brand. The reason I say you don't have to, because unfortunately, by having a picture of yourself, you're actually giving information that is illegal for companies to ask. And so, for example, because I have my picture, you can see my race, you can see my gender, you can probably assume my age, you see a lot about me. And so sometimes I may not want people to know that information. And so I could possibly upload a picture, but remember, if you're going to upload a picture that is not of your face, have something that is individual to you and it's part of your brand. So let's say, for example, I could put like GB or something that is unique to me, so that it has to connect to you. Now, if you do use a professional headshot, make sure that it is a professional headshot, something that looks nice. And then in it, you want to make sure that your face is, or your head is the majority of the picture. Because if you're going to have a headshot, you want it to be able so that they recognize you if they meet you in person. And so the picture that you see from mine, but also the stock image, I say like 60% of the picture should be of like, this area. Don't have a picture of you standing back in a distance. Don't have a picture of you and other people. Like for example, in my, I believe in my Facebook or my Instagram, it's a picture of me and my husband or a picture of me and my dog. That's not what you should use for your LinkedIn profile. It's a headshot. Literally, that's why it's called a headshot. Now, if this is a picture, make sure that it's something that you regularly update. I do not look the same as I looked 5 years ago. I mean, I look similar. I believe the headshot here right now is about 2 years old. I would say probably don't have a headshot more than 4 years, 3 years, because we change. Styles come and go. Beards versus no beard. You make sure that it's something that looks like you, or a style that you actively have, the way you have your hair. Now, background photos are something that we don't often think about. This is a really great feature that adds a nice touch to your professional brand. So that is this thing right here. So find something that connects to you. I think on Facebook, we put usually, I put like a picture of my vacation or somewhere pretty that I took, like a pretty picture. I wouldn't say that go that direction for your LinkedIn. Find something that connects to your personal brand. And so it may be a picture of, if you work here at the University of Maryland, Baltimore, a picture of the university, or a picture of Baltimore, if part of your brand is being a person that lives in Baltimore, pride in your city, or it could be anything that connects to your professional brand. I am very much into LGBTQ plus advocacy. And so I have Be an Ally as my background picture. Try not to find things that are too common. Try not to use just boring generic images that you think are pretty. This isn't about adding flair or beautifying your profile. You have to look at it as something purposefully connected to selling your professional brand. And then also, the great thing is, think about how you can change it. So if it's something that you can update, when you update it, it kind of pings people, so it makes you show up more. It's like if you put a picture on the internet, when I upload pictures to Facebook, people say, ooh, and Facebook's like, oh, Greg Brightfield changed his picture. The same would happen here. It's a great way for you to stay relevant in people's feeds. Similar to other social medias, LinkedIn has a feed, and so this is a great way to keep popping up in it. The next thing you're going to think about are headlines and summaries. Now, a headline, so you have several things. So first, you have your name. In your name, you can put your name, and then based on your field, industry, you can put your credentials. The rule of credentials, though, are try to not go, this is not a good rule. Try to not have more letters behind your name than in your name. I have seen people who put every certificate, every licensure, unless it is something that you actively use in your professional life regularly, I wouldn't put it on your profile. And also, there's no reason if you don't want to put in your, they're called post-nominal letters. If you don't want to put in your post-nominal letters, your degrees, you don't have to. You can just have your name. Just don't go overboard. If you have too many, it can send the wrong message, but it also can really confuse people in what your professional brand is. Rule of thumb is usually only use the highest level of education attained. You can put others if you regularly use it and it's professionally important to you. So for example, I'm currently working on my dissertation for a doctorate of education. So I will be Gregory Brightbill, EDD. So because I have a doctorate of education, I can drop the MED. So I would be Gregory Brightbill, EDD, and then I could keep the MBA because it's something that is different. If you have doctor in your name, so you're a doctor, it would be Dr. Taylor DeBoer. Let's say if Taylor had his doctorate. Just know that there are rules with how you place this. And so rule of thumb is so for example, if Taylor has his PhD, it's not Dr. Taylor DeBoer PhD. It's either Dr. Taylor DeBoer, and then you don't put the PhD, or it would be Taylor DeBoer PhD. So this is, again, where I would say find people that are thought leaders in your industry, see how they're writing their name, and kind of copy their model. Now, a headline is this that appears right below it. Now, often people put their positions, their titles. This is where it goes. When somebody searches you, the only thing they see pretty much in the search, screen is your name and then your headline. The headline doesn't have to be something that says your job. Use it to showcase your brand. I don't say my job. People can click my profile if they want to see it. Instead, I use words that mean something to me, words that connect to my brand. So I believe that I'm an educator. I also do consulting, and I am very much an LGBTQ plus advocate. So this is my headline. Try to avoid buzzwords. In general, like even on your resume, I get very tired of seeing people say leader, hardworking, organized. Telling me you're a leader, telling me you're organized, telling me you're hardworking is great and all, but that really doesn't help me build a picture that is unique to you and your personal brand. So think of your tagline or your headline and craft it in a way that really connects to you. If you just decide, hey, I just want to put my title, that is okay. But just know that you have freedom in this. Next, you have your summary. The summary is located right here. Again, I talked about this a moment ago. This is if you want to put in your personal mission statement, a concise professional bio, or a short personal story or anecdote. You can put those three things. I wouldn't put all three. Try to find a way to just choose something that is about you that really is short, concise, and powerful. Make sure that it is something that people can easily read. People are not going to read a memoir about you. The point of this is just something that really quickly is something they can just see and understand who you are. Next, a great feature that you want to use when you're setting up your profile or when you're beefing up your profile is the skills assessment. Now, the skills assessment is located in your profile. Scroll, right here. So you can click this and take a skills quiz. And what this does is allows you to start identifying where your skills are, because through this, you can earn badges. And a badge are these. So based on my skills, it identified I'm skilled in higher education, I'm skilled in teaching, I'm skilled in student affairs, career counseling. And then what's going to happen after you have your verified badge, you can then get endorsements. An endorsement is when somebody says, yeah, you are good at this. So let me go to my friend. This is an old teacher of mine when I had in grade school, Randy Rump, Dr. Rump. He works in Frederick County Public Schools. So let's say I'm here on Dr. Rump's profile. So this is what you see when you're looking at it. Okay, well, I can then endorse him on things. So I would say, well, he's really good at music education. And then I can select how I want. Is he really good, very good, highly skilled? And then I can say where I know him. Now, this is where you give endorsements to get endorsements. You got to be that way. It's the generous thing to do. As you develop, it's going to start saying, wow, you are highly skilled. Let's say, for example, Dr. Rumpf is highly skilled in music education. So if he endorses me in music, I'm not a music educator, but let's say in education or teaching, it actually says a person who's highly skilled in this endorsed you. So this really adds to the value when somebody's looking at your profile to know that, wow, people who are experts in this area are saying that you or the person's profile is also really knowledgeable. Endorsements are great. Let's go back to my profile. Next, you're going to want to look at, so we talked about endorsements. Next, you're going to want to think about recommendations. Recommendations are different than a endorsement because it's pretty much a reference. So here, let me show you my profile. So I have a wonderful reference, a recommendation from, sorry, I'm in the wrong one. Here's my reference. Here. So this is from someone. So they wrote me a reference, a recommendation. It's a little bit more work. Again, this is where you want to give a reference and you get a reference, just talk to someone. This is where you really can add in some amazing quality. I mean, it's a reference. You can literally have it on your profile for people to read. This really says a lot about you. Now, for those of you that are uncomfortable with these things, if you're building up your profile, you got to kind of own this. You have to ask for a reference, just like how you would ask for a reference in real life. And your social media, you have to ask for a reference. You do it by going down to the recommendation section as you're building it, and you ask for a recommendation. So let's say, for example, I think I'm Taylor. I believe you and I are. Okay, so let's say I want to ask Taylor DeBoer. Taylor and I work together quite extensively for the career lab planning. I think Taylor, I'd love to have a reference from Taylor because a recommendation, because Taylor can talk about, let's say, how I am as a colleague. I would click him, select how I know him. So Taylor, did I manage him? Did he manage me? Nope. I worked with Taylor in the same group. And while I was an associate director, so currently. Now, this is an automated message that the LinkedIn Messenger sends to Taylor. Don't just send this. It's a little impersonal. I would say, hey, Taylor, I am currently working on my LinkedIn profile, and I would love if you could write me a short recommendation based on our working together in the career lab. If I, let's say, for example, wanted Taylor to talk about something, could you please mention my ability to manage programs? And you could say that if you know the person really well. And then I would send Taylor, I'm sorry, you're getting this in the mail. And then I would send this to Taylor. And that's it. I can then touch base with Taylor in the messenger. So I could scroll here, click on the messenger. Messenger's down here, and I would say, this is what pops up. And then Taylor would click this and give a reference or recommendation for me. And then probably if I'm trying to be a nice person, oh, thank you so much, Taylor. Then I would go into Taylor's profile out of the kindness of my heart. And I would write Taylor, I'm sorry, Taylor, I'm showing your profile. I would write Taylor a recommendation. Oh, look at that. Taylor has recommendations already. Absolutely fantastic. So this is a super easy way to do it. You kind of have to ask people. It can be a little awkward, but I mean, look at this. Like Taylor's got one received, one given. I love it. You know, you can also see who he recommends. That says a lot about his brand. This just adds so much value to a profile. This is what makes your profile from anybody else's regular profile to a really great LinkedIn profile. Now you have your profile kind of set up. You have the basic foundation of a profile. Now you got to start thinking about who are you going to connect with. Now here's the truth. This isn't like Facebook. This is not like add your family and friends because you want to keep up with them. You want to be purposeful in adding connections that are meaningful to your professional brand. So I would start by thinking close connections. Who are the people that you work with? So I would look at my network and I would start searching for people. So let's say, because it's such a small thing, it's not really working. Let's say I want to add in, oh, look, here is, oh, these are all people that I know. Who here is a LinkedIn that wants me to stalk you? Erica Millette, do you have a LinkedIn? I'm going to stalk you. I'm not going to add yours, but I'm just going to look. Millette, one at T. So there. So let's say, for example, if I work with Erica, I'm going to search their LinkedIn profile and I can click and I can add them and connect that way. So I would say start with that. Add close connections, people that you've worked with. You don't need to add in everybody that you knew in undergrad that you don't stay in contact with. This is not like Facebook. You want to be purposeful. Next, once you've built the foundation of your close colleagues, connections, supervisors, supervisees, then you want to start thinking about aspirational connections. Now, this may seem nerve-wracking, but you have to remember LinkedIn is a professional social media. It's okay. Add the president of the university. Add the VP. Add your dean. Build your network. They are a part of your professional network. Unfortunately, this is networking. You gotta it's gonna push you out of your comfort zone. And just don't worry, just add them, connect with them. So I would say, let's say, for example, Dr. Bruce Gerald. Bruce. Okay, find Dr. Gerald and connect with him. I already did. Because what you are doing is you're going to use LinkedIn as a part of your professional brand. And listen, you want them to see you. Because at the end of the day, I respect Dr. Gerald so much, and I want Dr. Gerald to really like me. And what better way of interacting in a professional manner than through LinkedIn? And so when I share things, when I write publications, share highlights of things that I've achieved, how cool is that Dr. Gerald could see that? So your aspirational leaders, these are the people that you want to see. Am I not sharing my screen? Please tell me if I'm sharing my screen. Okay, good. So these are the people that you want to see you. Just sit down and think of them. It's okay for you to connect with supervisors. I wouldn't connect with people, though, that you don't want to be connected with. So if you've had a supervisor who you did not enjoy working with, not saying that you ended on bad terms, but I wouldn't connect with them. And then think about, okay, so now you've kind of got your aspirational. So now it's going to start, now LinkedIn's starting to think about, oh, thank you, Taylor. That was so nice. So look, now Taylor sent me a reference, a recommendation, and I can review it. and approve it. I can also ask for revision. Ask for revisions if you need to. Oh, thank you, Taylor. So I would say, if let's say I want to say, oh, Taylor, can you talk about this? I could say, oh, well, Taylor, could you please revise your recommendation? Specifically, could you change? And then I would say that. But you know what? Taylor's recommendation is great. So I would just click add to profile. And then boom, right there. It's now added to my profile. Sorry. Thanks, Taylor. So next, now that you've got your aspirational and your close connections, LinkedIn's going to start realizing, okay, I know what you do. I know what networks you're in. Oh, you also told me your education. I know, okay, well, Greg, you work at the University of Maryland, Baltimore. You're in student leadership. Well, I also see that you've worked at these other places. Oh, look, I see your education. Greg, you've been at a few institutions where you've got degrees. So I know you're an alumni of those institutions. I see your volunteer experience. I see your skills. LinkedIn's now starting to build your profile, and it's starting to get smart with you. And it's going to start saying, okay, well, maybe you know these people. And so it's going to start suggesting people to you. And so, sorry, I went too far. So I'm going to say, okay, well, 1 second. So connections, it's going to start suggesting connections to you. Okay, well, here's some people that you're connected with. Let me click this so I can show you what I'm saying. My network. 1 second. Gotta load. Okay, so here's some people based on people you may know. So these are some people that also work at the university. And then I can scroll through to see, okay, oh, look, Greg, people from Frostburg, because I know you went to school at Frostburg, or you go right now too. I'm a double Frostburg because I get my doctorate there too, and an undergrad. So now it's connecting. Oh, look, people with similar roles. So now it's based on people that are in my field. Now, just connect with people. So it's starting to look, oh, actually, you know what? How funny is that? Emily Ramita Scanlon. I went to graduate school with her. I'm going to connect with her. Done. So use these things to your advantage. Connect with people that are similar. You're building your professional network. These are connections. The truth is, you want to build these connections because if I add, let's say, even if I don't know someone, let's say I'm applying to a job and I want to learn more about the place, I may now have somebody, let's say I didn't know Emily from graduate school. Let's say I'm applying to a job at the University of Kentucky. Well, I can reach out to Emily to say, hey, what do you know? This is where it's kind of helpful. And then Emily will have also seen again, we know each other pretty well. She would see my profile. So if I apply to a job, she could already have a little bit more information about me to know me. And so that's where you get your colleague connections and then your relational connections. So you're connecting with people with similar interests, passions, in similar roles. This is how you build your connections. Now, here are the two downsides, though, of your connections. The first downside is by connecting with someone, you are connecting with that person. You need to know if they're a good connection or not. Unfortunately, we now live in a world where you may have off the resume references. Historically, when I submitted an application, I said, here are my 3 references, and there you are. I've carefully cherry-picked them. I know they're going to say good things about me. Done. Well, now, because of LinkedIn and social media, somebody may look me up and say, well, I see Greg, but we actually have a mutual connection. Let's say we both know. Let's say we both know. Let me look at my connections. Mark J. Freeman Price, MBA. Mark and I went to grad school and undergrad together. He works also in higher education. So then somebody may say, well, you know what? I'm actually just going to reach out to Mark because I know Mark and Greg knows Mark. And I'm going to ask Mark, what do you know about Greg? I want to make sure I have a good relationship with Mark because he may not be prepped to give me a reference. And I want to make sure if I'm connected to him, it's going to be a good reference. Now, another downside to the connections on LinkedIn are that people are using it now for a lot of sales to sell you things. I have lost track how many insurance salespeople or real estate agents have added me on LinkedIn to sell me something. And so it's okay if you add them, but just like how you would go through Facebook and do like, what is it called? A friends purge. You got to do that with LinkedIn too. I would say you can have as many people as you want as connections, but make sure that they're connections that are vital to your personal and professional brand. Just clicking through. Some other tips on it, use the comments. So when you go to LinkedIn, comment on people's things. This connects you to somebody. Look, Dr. Rumpf posted something about K through 12 education. I could comment on it. I can like things. I can have a lot. So this is somebody that I know from graduate school. And so I could say, wow, this is really awesome. I can also like it, give certain things, just like Facebook. This is a good way to interact. When I interact, I'm connecting myself to it. And so that shows on my profile. So if let's say, for example, when somebody looks at me, they see my recent interactions. So recent activity. So I've liked things, I comment on people's things, I share things. It's a part of my brand, shows things that I'm connected to, that I'm interested in. And also feel free to share things, write updates. Don't give it like a Twitter update where like, best sandwich of my life today at this restaurant, but instead share things that are connected or important to you professionally. And then if you're going to have a profile, the second big tip that I have is regularly update it. Do not just create a profile and then leave it there just to exist. I have known many people that have been applying to jobs and then not had an updated LinkedIn. If you're applying to a job and they pull up your LinkedIn and they see a different job than the one that you say on your resume, they're going to start thinking, is the resume out of date? Oh, maybe they're just not really detail oriented. Maybe they're just kind of lazy with updating things. Or if I see different job titles, I have been in a very, very, very high level interview one time where I was screening candidates back a long time ago, and their LinkedIn had a completely different title than their resume. And we were starting to think like, okay, well, what did they do? Why is there a difference? And we didn't give that person an interview because their LinkedIn was not updated. We didn't know. And if you have 100 applicants and one person's got something kind of funky, let me tell you, I wish I would say that yes, let's reach out to the person and clarify. If you have 100 candidates and you have, of those 100, 30 other really great candidates, it's easier just to throw that resume and application out than to go clarify. So don't be that thrown out application. If you're going to be applying to jobs or just semi-regularly, update your LinkedIn, I would say every 6 months. If you can, more than that, or at the bare minimum after every major professional life change, promotions, degrees obtained, make sure that it looks up to date. LinkedIn also sends out automated stuff when you've been at an employer for several years, and I've lost track of how many times it says, congratulate so-and-so for 15 years working at this employer. And I'm just like, you don't work there anymore. That's out of date. That's sending a really negative message about your brand. Next, share relevant content on your profile. You can share things that are interesting to you. I'm really passionate about the work that I do with a nonprofit that I'm on the board of directors for, GLSEN, which is a LGBT K through 12 advocacy group. And so if GLSEN does something that I'm really excited about, I share that because that adds to my brand. Also, you can publish articles or share articles that you've published on your LinkedIn. So this is an old one that I published. I published it straight through LinkedIn. So you can actually write articles if you're trying to dabble in publishing. And, for example, you want to share some things about that you're interested in. You can just use LinkedIn to write an article. It's very simple. I would click here and I could then write an article. Me, profile. But you can also share in your featured section things that are really important to you. So if you publish something if you wanted to highlight an achievement. So I have in my featured articles that I wrote for the Baltimore Sun, because I want people to know that, hey, this dude knows a little bit about something. And so articles that are really important to me, I wrote one on LGBT, or specifically on the gay and trans blood and tissue ban, about why I thought it needs to change. And then I also wrote one on higher education reform. I have these featured. So these are articles that I wrote. I want people to see it. I put it on my LinkedIn, but also I can adjust it to show other things, remove, change. And then if I wanted to write things, you can just go onto LinkedIn and to the publishing section. Now, another important thing when you're thinking of your LinkedIn is who you follow. Follow thought leaders in your field, because by following them, I can comment on them, which means other people get to see what I want to say. And so this is a great way for you to make connections, to network. But it's also really good for you just to see what those people are saying. If somebody that I follow says something really profound and then I share it, I'm connecting my brand to what they're saying, and I'm kind of hitching my, hitch to their wagon. So really helpful. Next, connect with those people that I talked about earlier, following the steps of connect with close colleagues, connect with aspirational connections, like, people that are big in your organization, connect with people that are in your field, build a network that really represents for you for who you are. If you meet somebody at a conference and you really feel like you have a similar role and you want to work with them in the future, connect with them, use that to your advantage. Next, you can also track your profile. So if you're going to use LinkedIn, one of the great things, even if you have a free profile, is you have what's called your dashboard. You can see how many people have viewed your profile in the last, I think it's the last 15 days. Now, you have to adjust your profile settings, which takes us to adjust your visibility settings. So to be able to see certain things, you can actually track it to a certain extent with the free plan. But the great thing with that is, if I'm applying for jobs, I want to know how many people are looking at me, because they may not contact me for an interview, but maybe they're looking at my profiles. Or if I'm trying to build myself up as a thought leader, I want to know who's seeing my stuff. So for example, a post that I had recently on an article had 1,063 views. I've appeared in 6 search appearances. I also have had 47 people recently view my profile. These are really helpful for me to kind of gauge how I'm doing. Now, the settings of it are something that's really important to understand in your LinkedIn. In the settings, you can make certain changes related to privacy, who views your profile, who can search for you. You can also make sure that if you want to be searchable through Google, personal demographic information. You can also say if you are looking for opportunities, to say if you are on the job hunt or not. Another really great aspect of this is the visibility options. So this is something that you may not know about LinkedIn. If I go to somebody's profile and look at it, LinkedIn will tell them. They know. Greg Brightville looked at your profile. So it's actually not bad that it does that. If I want to connect with someone and I don't really know them, if I look, it'll tell them, and they may add me, kind of like dating. But if I don't want people to know that I'm looking at their profile, I can actually adjust how it shows me. That's not the wrong one. Profile viewing options. So do I want to say anonymous? Do I want it to say private profile characteristics? So I guess it wrote me as a business owner in the professional training and coaching industry from Washington. I guess I don't know why it gave me that tag. Or do I want it just to say my name? And so if I'm looking at somebody's profile, I can say what it says. If I select this, that gives me a little bit more freedom to see who's looking at mine. So there's a benefit to that. So know how to use these settings. Just scroll through them. It'll really help you out. You can also make it so that people can search for you in certain ways, statuses, people tagging you and things. If you're going to use LinkedIn, just go through these kind of to customize it. Now, also be aware that you have certain features. LinkedIn has a paid option. You can pay to use it. Free versus paid. The age-old question of subscriptions. If you do free, it gives you pretty much everything that you'd want, but you do get some really great things if you pay for it. So while I get, of course, everything that's a regular profile, in paid, I have advanced profile viewing. So when I want to see who's viewed my profile, if I have advanced, I can literally see who's viewed my profile. So this just gives me basic demographic information of who viewed it. But if I pay for it, I can literally see who specifically. And let's say I'm applying to jobs and I apply to a job at Johns Hopkins. And I notice that I have an uptick of people from Johns Hopkins looking at my profile. That's handy if I'm looking. That's useful. And then if they look at my profile from Hopkins and I see that they saw me, or I see that they were looking, well, I can then add them, connect with them. Ooh, isn't that handy if I'm trying to get a job over there? So then they see more of my brand. So there are some benefits. Also, LinkedIn has various types of features. So I tested it out recently. You do get a free month subscription to LinkedIn if you try. And then I believe if you go to cancel it, they'll give you but wait, we'll give you another month. So if I'm pretty sure you may be able to get 2 months free, or regularly they'll say, hey, we know you we had it for free for a while. You tested it out. Would you like to come back? We'll give you another month for free. Now, the various options. So if you are a business owner, you may want to have the business plan. If you are career specifically, you may want to have that plan. If you're hiring, all those different ones. In the career one, it allows actually some really great tools pertaining to education and online credentialing. LinkedIn actually has both free and paid badges, learning opportunities. And so if you're trying to beef up your LinkedIn profile, maybe to add a few badges to showcase skills that you have, this may be a really great option for you. If anything else, it's free for a month. Just remember to cancel, put a calendar thing to say cancel your subscription unless you want to have it. If you do keep it, I believe it's like $29 a month. So it's not super cheap. But if you're on the job hunt, so here's the learning premium. If you're on the job hunt, this may be something that's kind of useful. It's useful for you. It's a small investment, especially if you're applying to jobs. I find that this is really useful if I am really on the job hunt and I am exhausted, and if anything else, it makes me feel a little bit better because I know who's looking at me. So I know this is a lot today to talk about. LinkedIn it takes more than an hour to kind of go through all the various features. Hopefully you have enjoyed this. I will sit here. I believe I do not have anything right now at 1 o'clock. So I will stay here online for a few moments. Again, my name is Greg Brightbill. Feel free to add me on LinkedIn. Happy to be there. Use that if you need to ask me a question. If I know you, feel free to ask for a reference. If I don't know you, probably shouldn't ask me for a reference. Yeah, hopefully this gave you enough to kind of start thinking about LinkedIn, to make it a little less scary, and make it a much better tool to help you in your professional career goals. So again, my name is Greg Brightbill. Feel free to email me at gbrightbill@umaryland.edu or add me on LinkedIn. And thank you so much for being here today. And I hope to see you at some of our future presentations. And I will stay on for questions, but I'm going to stop the recording.